Have you ever felt so exhausted that even getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain? Have you ever looked around at other people living their lives and wondered why everything seems so much harder for you? Maybe you've been carrying a weight that nobody can see. You smile when you're supposed to smile. You answer questions with a simple, "I'm fine." You go to work. You pay the bills. You do what needs to be done. But inside, something feels different. Inside, you're tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, the kind of tired that settles into your thoughts, the kind of tired that makes simple things feel impossible, the kind of tired that whispers that nothing will ever change. If that sounds familiar, this message is for you. Today, we're talking about 6 things not to do when you're depressed. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because depression has a way of convincing people to do the very things that keep them trapped. And if you can recognize these traps, you can begin taking back control one small step at a time. Let's begin. Number 1, do not isolate yourself completely. Depression loves isolation. It tells you that nobody understands. It tells you that you're a burden. It tells you that people would be better off without hearing from you. So you stop answering texts. You stop returning calls. You stop showing up. Little by little, your world becomes smaller. At first, isolation can feel comforting. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to pretend everything is okay. You don't have to deal with anyone. But over time, isolation becomes a prison. Human beings were not designed to carry emotional pain alone. Even the strongest people need connection. You don't need 100 friends. You don't need a crowd. Sometimes one conversation can make a difference. One phone call, one coffee with someone you trust, one honest moment where you allow another person to know what you're going through. Connection doesn't erase depression, but it reminds you that you're still connected to life. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. Number 2, do not believe every thought that enters your mind. One of the most dangerous things about depression is that it changes the way you see reality. It acts like a pair of dark glasses. Everything appears darker than it really is. You begin thinking things like, "I'm a failure. Nobody cares about me. Nothing will ever get better. My life has no value." The problem is that depression doesn't present these thoughts as opinions. It presents them as facts. But thoughts are not facts. A thought can feel true without actually being true. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that distorts your reflection. If the mirror makes you look taller, shorter, wider, or smaller, you wouldn't believe it. You would understand that the mirror is distorted. Depression distorts your mental mirror. It changes the way you interpret your life, your future, and yourself. The next time a painful thought appears, ask yourself, is this absolutely true? Would I say this to someone I love? Is there another way to look at this situation? You don't have to believe every thought that passes through your mind. Some thoughts deserve to be questioned. Number 3, do not neglect your basic needs. When depression arrives, basic self-care often disappears. You stop eating properly. You stop drinking enough water. You stay awake too late. You spend entire days indoors. You stop moving your body. And the less you care for yourself, the worse you begin to feel. Depression often steals motivation. Waiting until you feel motivated can keep you stuck for weeks or even months. Instead of focusing on motivation, focus on tiny actions. Drink 1 glass of water, take 1 shower, open the curtains, walk outside for 5 minutes, eat 1 healthy meal. These actions may seem insignificant, but they're not. Your brain and body are connected. Every small act of self-care sends a message that says, I matter, I deserve care, I deserve another chance today. You don't need to fix your entire life. You only need to take the next small step, then another and another. Healing is often built from tiny actions repeated consistently. Number 4, do not compare your life to everyone else's. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to deepen emotional pain. Social media makes this even harder. Everywhere you look, people seem happy, successful, confident, beautiful, accomplished. Meanwhile, you're struggling just to get through the day. What you often forget is that you're comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel. People rarely post their fears, their loneliness, their failures, their sleepless nights, their moments of despair. You only see the polished version. And when you're depressed, comparison becomes a weapon against yourself. You start believing that everyone is moving forward except you, but life isn't a race. Everyone has a different timeline, different battles, different challenges, different wounds. Your journey is your journey. The fact that someone else is succeeding does not mean you're failing. The fact that someone else is healing faster does not mean you'll never heal. Keep your eyes on your own path. That's where your energy belongs. Number 5, do not wait to feel motivated before taking action. This is one of the biggest traps depression creates. It convinces you that action comes after motivation, but often the opposite is true. Action creates motivation. Think about a car. The steering wheel only works when the car is moving. If the car never moves, you can turn the wheel all day and go nowhere. Life works similarly. Many people wait until they feel better before doing something productive. They wait until they feel inspired. They wait until they feel energized. They wait until they feel ready, and they remain stuck. What if you didn't wait? What if you took action before the feeling arrived? What if you cleaned one corner of a room? What if you walked around the block? What if you wrote one page? What if you applied for one opportunity? Small actions create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates hope, and hope creates movement. You don't have to feel ready. You only have to begin. Number 6, do not try to fight depression completely alone. One of the greatest lies depression tells people is that asking for help is weakness, but asking for help is one of the strongest things a person can do. Think about it. If someone broke their leg, would you expect them to heal without medical care? Probably not. Yet when emotional pain appears, many people believe they should handle everything themselves. Depression is not simply sadness. It can affect thoughts, emotions, sleep, concentration, energy, and physical health. There is no shame in reaching out. Talk to a trusted friend, talk to a family member, talk to a counselor, talk to a therapist, talk to a doctor. Support exists because human beings were never meant to carry every burden alone. Sometimes healing begins the moment you stop pretending you're okay. Sometimes healing begins the moment you say, I need help. And there is incredible courage in those 3 words. Before we finish, I want you to remember something important. Depression wants to convince you that nothing matters, that you're stuck, that you'll always feel this way. But feelings are not permanent. Even the longest night eventually gives way to morning. You may not see the light yet. You may not feel hopeful today. You may not believe things can improve. But many people who once felt exactly as you do now eventually found their way forward. Not because they were stronger, not because they were luckier, but because they kept taking small steps when everything inside them wanted to quit. If you're struggling right now, be patient with yourself. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to heal overnight. You do not need to become a different person. Just focus on the next step. One breath, one conversation, one walk, one healthy choice, one act of courage, and then another, because healing is rarely one giant breakthrough. It's usually a series of small victories that slowly bring you back to yourself. And if nobody has told you this lately, hear it now. Your life matters. Your story matters. Your future matters. And no matter how dark things feel today, this chapter is not the end of your story. Keep going. The person you're becoming is worth fighting for.
I've been feeling so overwhelmed lately. I understand that sounds very difficult. It's just so much stress. Let's work through this together.